In my last video where I talked about this camera, I remembered that I have not actually talked about my favorite point and shoot that I own. Yeah, let's talk about this camera. So this is the Canon PowerShot ELPH 170 IS. The name is less complicated the more you know about cameras. So this is a camera from, I think, 2015 or 2014, around then. It has 20 megapixels, which for that time for a point and shoot, I think personally that that's pretty insane. And it wasn't prohibitively expensive so far as I recall. This was a gift to me, so I didn't actually have to pay for it. I also have the ELPH 150 IS, but that's basically the same camera. Came out just slightly earlier and pretty much everything's the same. Except it only has, I think, 10x zoom. And this one has 12x zoom, which according to the first page of Google is equivalent to 25 to 300 millimeters, which is this lens almost. It's wider than this lens and just as long. So that is actually kind of crazy. So let's look at the buttons. A record button that will start it recording in any mode that you have it in. The playback button for you to look at all of your amazing photos. A D-pad with functions on each direction. Obviously the center button. A help and a menu button. These batteries are so incredibly tired, I can't even... I got new batteries for it, so... Okay. So, in the menu, a program mode which does not actually allow you to change any of the functions. Live view control, portrait, self-timer, low light, and a bunch of silly little effects, which makes this a very fun camera. Now, I do have my gripes with this camera, which the one I looked at in the last video actually resolved, even though it's older. Anyway, first of all, there's no manual control whatsoever. You can't even manually focus it, which just makes this not very creatively free for me. The burst mode is kind of variable depending on what mode you're in. In low light, which gives the fastest burst mode for some reason, the rate is like 2 or 3 frames per second, which is not a lot. But the biggest problem, I think, with this camera, which is also a problem on the Pentax 17, that new half-frame camera, when you press down on the shutter button, there's a delay between when you press the button and when it takes the photo, and that makes it extremely hard to do anything creative or any sort of action. If that wasn't there, this camera would be a lot better. But let's stop being bad and look at the good things with this camera. First of all, it's incredibly easy to use, as you would expect with a point and shoot. But also, it's super versatile. Versatile, they both suck. Because as we just mentioned, it's got that insane focal range. But also, it can focus extremely close, almost touching the lens. And that makes macro super easy. Now, granted, that does get extended really fast when you zoom in. Like halfway zoomed in, this is already out of focus. Which, I mean, I can't really get mad about because this lens is kind of the same. But when I was, 8, however old when I had this, it felt very limiting because I couldn't really zoom in on something and have it be in focus. But I'm being bad, stop being bad. Talk about the good things. The image playback is very fast, so you can scrub through images. It's like 8 frames per second maybe, scrubbing through the images. And for what I used to do with this camera, that was really great, because I used to make a ton of stop motion. Stop motion was what I did all the time. So I have a lot of very full space on my hard drives. If I can find any of my stop motion, then you will have already started seeing it before I said this. So, hi. Look at that. Wow, did you see that? Look at that one. So cool. Oh, I forgot to mention the video on this camera. This camera only does 720p, 24 or 30, I don't remember. I think it's... I don't know. The thing about this camera is that I don't think there's a thermometer in it, so it does not know when it's very much overheated. It has a timer in it so that it'll only record in 30-minute intervals, but it will not stop you from just pressing the button to record again. I have had this camera get very, very hot, and it would just keep chugging along until the battery died. And so then when I would go to change the battery, I would notice, oh, this thing's on fire! Be mindful of that, but also, it has never actually caused me any problems. It has just chugged away without a care in the world. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. The secret project is still not ready.